We are back. Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of To The Point podcast, so you guys can stay a while. So we have a lot to get to today. Nothing. I mean, it's pretty substandard weekend in the sports world. I mean, there's only a few things. Some good college basketball, but yeah, that happens all the time. UFC first UFC pay-per-view of the year. It's pretty good. Two title fights go the distance, but yeah, it's okay. Keith Yandel is going to break an Ironman streak tonight. That's pretty cool. Some good games. The Jets continue to spiral. Edmonton gets a win. That's always a big headline. But you know where this is going. This weekend was one of the craziest sports weekends of my life. And I'm only 23. But then again, I'm 23. So I've had a number of sports weekends. As you all know, my life is sports. Of course, health, safety of the people I love come first. After that, it's sports. And pathetic or not, this is where my life is. And I've watched a lot of really great sporting events. I've seen some crazy things. The interception on the goal line by the Patriots to beat the Seahawks. Crazy. Nobody saw that coming. You think of the 2004 World Series. The Red Sox coming all the way back. That was pretty good. The 2015 Stanley Cup Finals between Chicago and New York is one that really I'll never forget. I think it was one of the best series of my life. But through all the Super Bowls, through the Stanley Cup Finals, Dallas Mavericks winning the NBA title in 2011, this weekend was truly spectacular. It truly was flawless. And who I feel sorry for today, yeah, you could throw Josh Allen in there. You could throw Tennessee defense. But who I feel sorry for the most today are the people that don't like sports. For the people that don't watch football, they are so unaware of what they missed. They are sitting not knowing that they just missed 4 of the greatest football games you'll ever watch. 4 games that literally ended on the last play. When can you say that? 4 games that were drastically different, but had all the theatrics, had all the emotions, the feels, and it brought you to your television screen. It had myself, who is not a fan, yelling at people saying, "What are you doing?" Questioning, how did you get this position? And what the hell just happened? That was this weekend. The games were phenomenal. Individual performances were something you'll never forget. But the sport of football wins again. The NFL won this weekend. The NFL wins most weekends, let's be honest. But when you say, when we get to the playoffs, our product is going to be better, that's a big promise. And most times sports can deliver. But was the bubble that great of NHL hockey? I watched it, but it wasn't exactly riveting. Even in the last couple of years, limited crowds, different, and games just weren't the same. Tampa, Florida was a great series, but that was in round 1. But to say we have 4 divisional playoff games, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and for all 4 of them to be not just awesome, but home runs out of the park, you can't ask for better. And I'll reiterate what I just said. I feel sorry for the people that did not get to watch these 4 games in their entirety. I feel sorry for the parents who maybe had to put a kid to bed and miss some of these games, because I watched every snap. I've never seen anything like it. And as sad as it is to say today, I don't know if we'll see a weekend like that ever again. You know, I tried to think back to special games, special moments, weekends. You know, wild card weekend in the NFL used to be my favorite. But since they expanded the playoffs, there's a 7th playoff team that really doesn't deserve to be there. And it kind of waters down the product. So wild card weekend, or super wild card weekend, as they call it this year, was a bit of a snooze fest, a lot of blowouts. But this is it. This is the coup de grace. I don't know how you could have asked for more. You have a shootout between two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL in a game where Josh Allen loses, and he didn't deserve to. But the bitter irony is a better quarterback beat him. You have a game where a defense gets 9 sacks, the most on a quarterback since 2000, and you don't win the game. You have a game where an offense puts up 6 points, but they go on the road and win in the most historic stadium in the National Football League at Lambeau Field. And finally, you have a moment, you have a game, but you have a minute of play that is not only career defining, but something that will silence the doubters for many years to come. And, you know, it's this weekend, and normally when I'm trying to plan my shows, it's, well, where do we start? What game do we go with? What's the lead? Every game was great. Every game was phenomenal. I think we should just start where the weekend started, in Tennessee. And, you know, coming into this game, I said this week, I was talking to Matt Wright on Friday, we both felt the dogs were barking. And this weekend, 3 road teams won their respective games. But when you have a quarterback, when you have a wide receiver, you have a chance. And the Cincinnati Bengals came into the game as underdogs. They're playing the number 1 seed, Tennessee. Tennessee might be the quietest number 1 seed in recent memory, where most of the respect given to the Titans is based on their all-pro running back, who had not played since mid-October. Well, but with the prospect of Derrick Henry coming back, it made you believe, Tennessee is back. And also they have 2 all-pros on their defensive front, and they're pretty loaded. But I look at the game and how it started. Joe Burrow was sacked 3 times on his first 4 drives. Danico Autry recording 2 of them. You had Ryan Tannehill intercepted on the first play of the game, which only resulted in a field goal. But the weekend started with defense. This game, the first 2 games, were based primarily on defensive play. And I look at this game and I say Cincinnati did win the game. But Tennessee lost the game more than Cincinnati won it, because I look at the grand scheme of this game. Tennessee is slightly better than Cincinnati, I would say. Not by much, but a little bit. Joe Burrow, better than Ryan Tannehill. Yes. Jamar Chase, I think A.J. Brown's a very, very good receiver. I do think Jamar Chase is slightly better, but A.J. Brown is no slouch. When it comes to offensive lines, Tennessee's is clearly better. Defensively, give me Tennessee. So you stack it up, they should win the game. But I look at stupid decision-making by coaches and the quarterback. And number one, it's hard to win in the NFL when you lose the turnover battle. We'll get to the LA game, but notwithstanding historically, it's quite difficult to win when you lose the turnover battle. And Tennessee, you're at home. You're playing a Cincinnati team, and this is what's dangerous about a team like Cincinnati. They've never been in this situation. Joe Burrow is coming off a major surgery. He was in college just a few years ago. He doesn't know he's just playing to play. He doesn't know. He doesn't know any better, but it's a perfect position for him to be in. But Ryan Tannehill picked a horrible day to have one of the worst games of his career. First play of the game, intercepted. Throws two more, including on the last Tennessee drive, which ultimately cost them the game. But first interception was bad. Every interception I put on the quarterback. It's rare that I do that myself. But I mentioned coaching decisions. They're not running the football early in the game. I don't know why. They're dropping back Tannehill. They're not doing their play action bootleg game enough. And I'm thinking, okay, you have, even if Derrick Henry is not 100%, you have Durante Foreman, who is no slouch, who I think will be a starting running back in the NFL next season. Your offensive line is winning it at the line of scrimmage. Run the football. So finally, to start the second quarter, they do that. Within 5 plays, they go from the 20 of Tennessee down to the Cincinnati 10. Just 5 plays. But 6th play of the drive, again, we just gained 70 yards on the ground. Let's throw a screen pass in there. This is a horrible coaching decision. You are bludgeoning them to death. Don't overthink it. Run the football. Run the football until they prove they can stop you, which they were not. And by throwing this pass, seemingly out of nowhere, you are letting the opposing team off the hook. You're letting a defense that is getting physically manhandled by you, you're giving them an out. So what happens? Well, Mike Hilton reads the play. He's right at the line of scrimmage. Tannehill throws the ball anyway, tips it in the air, intercepted by Mike Hilton. You're at the 10. That should be 7. Not only that, before the end of the second half, they go for 2, and the game is tied at 6. No idea why. Another stupid coaching decision. But Tennessee's defense kept them in the game. They're just sacking Burrow. He got sacked 5 times in the first half, 4 in the second half. He was getting killed. Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry III. It didn't matter. Jonah Williams and that offensive line was straight trash on Saturday. 9 sacks? 9. And in the first half, Cincinnati had scored 9 points. This is another key stat of the game. Cincinnati had 5 different drives where they got the ball to at least the Tennessee 30. On only 3 of those drives did they get points. 2 of those drives were stalled because of sacks that drove them out of field goal range. And I look at some of the sacks on Burrow. You know what's coming. You've got to get the ball out of your hands quicker. But at the same time, could you help a brother out? But no. But you go through the game. Joe Mixon gets a touchdown. It looks like Cincinnati's going to win the game. But Samaje Perine, little ball in the flat, right in the hands, off, tipped, Malik Hooker, interception on that drive, leads to an A.J. Brown touchdown. Then you go down, 7:14 to go. This is where we stand. And Tennessee is 1 for 7 on 3rd down. 1 for 7. Not real good. Finished 1 for 9 on the day. And, 3rd and 1, they go a read option with Tannehill, with Derrick Henry in the backfield. Stupid. Give it to Henry. It's a 3rd and 1. He's the most physical back in football. Give him the ball. No, let's read option. No game. So 4th and 1, well, he just used Tannehill. So who do you think they're going to use him? It's a no-brainer. They get great jump off the football. Cincinnati stuffs them. DJ Reader was the player of the game on the Cincinnati defense. He was balling out from the jump. He had a sack and a half. He had 2 tackles for a loss. He's player of the game on defense for me. And Cincinnati's not, devoid of criticism here. They need to run the ball more. Joe Mixon can run the football. Your quarterback is getting killed. 9 sacks. They only ran the ball 18 times. Yes, Joe Mixon only averaged 3 yards a carry, but still try it. Please, could you help out your star quarterback? But you have Jamar Chase, who went for a $109, second straight game. The second straight game to start his postseason career, over 100. T. Higgins was their big play guy. He had 7 for 96. He just caught everything, that he threw at him. But they stopped Tennessee. And, Cincinnati's less than 40% on 3rd downs. They're not great either. But this is where we go. Tennessee's got the ball with under a minute to go. They can go kick a field goal and win the game. Randy Bullock has been having a sketchy game, but the ball's in your hands. You have it. 32 seconds left. Logan Wilson comes up with a big play, who made the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career this year at the linebacker position. He comes up with an interception. 1 play later, over the middle, Jamar Chase, the team's in field goal range. And that brings out, I hate field goal kickers. I feel they have way too much importance on the game. I wish it wasn't up to field goal kicking, because they're not really football players. And they have so much impact, and a lot of them just suck at their job. Let's just be honest. You watch football, how many times can you scream at a kicker and you just know he's going to miss? But the smart organizations don't wait to the 7th round. Don't wait to draft a great kicker if they think they can find one. A few years ago, Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted one in the 2nd round. Now, he turned out to be a bust, but I applaud them for doing it because it's such an important position to have. Well, Cincinnati did that this past year in the draft. They were in the 5th round out of Florida. They drafted Evan McPherson. He had a really good, couple of years, really good 4 years at Florida. But again, he had a great year in the NFL. He had the most field goal kicks over 50 yards. And to this point, he had 2 50-plus yard field goals in the postseason so far. And it's just clutch. It's just certain. Joe Burrow is a clutch player to me, but Evan McPherson's the same way. A 54-yard walk-off field goal to win it for the Bengals. The Bengals are back in an Nfc Championship game. Nobody saw this. I predicted the Bengals to win, but beginning of the year, nobody would have said Cincinnati's in an Nfc Championship game. Not me. I didn't think they'd win yesterday, but Saturday, sorry. But Evan, you get a rookie kicker. He's 7 for 7 in the playoffs. That's just money. 3 50-plus yarders. And the most important thing you can have with a kicker is just confidence. We know, you see, if you haven't seen it, go find the video of Joe Burrow. He just says, game over. He gets to the sideline. He has that much confidence in his kicker that they are winning the game. You saw his face. He wasn't that excited when they won because he knew it. He had his arms up before. We're good. And Tennessee, bad quarterback play and bad coaching cost you this game. Mike Vrabel might win Coach of the Year from the regular season because he had the most man games missed due to injury. He had the most offensive line combinations. He missed Derrick Henry. He missed a lot of key players. But you get to the postseason, you're playing the Bengals and Zach Taylor. Your defense comes up with 9 sacks. They do get a turnover, which Burrow had not turned the ball over in 4 games. And you don't win. Joe Burrow was the first quarterback since 2000 to be sacked 9 times and win a game. At least 9 times and win a game. That's crazy. It's a pretty good sample size. It's 2022 here. 22 years. There's a lot of frustrated teams because they felt like they deserved to win, for sure. The Tennessee defense is right at the top of that list because I don't know how they could have played better. Did they give up big plays? Yeah, Jamar Chase had some big plays. T. Higgins made some. But, however, I just mentioned they were like a Belichick-style defense. You could get into the 30, but you're going away with field goals. Cincinnati had 1 touchdown the whole game. Joe Burrow threw for 348. He had no passing touchdowns. It was a Joe Mixon rushing touchdown. You allowed them to have some big plays, but when they got into the near the red area in the key positions, the defense made stops. They got big sacks. They pushed them out of field goal range. They did their job. You only gave up 19 points. That should be enough to win. But Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. I like Ryan Tannehill, but he's not an elite guy. And for a team like Tennessee that is built to win, questions will come up saying, do we have the right quarterback here? Can we win with Ryan Tannehill? And it's all quick analysis because if Tennessee would have won the game, there's no questions. It's okay, Tannehill played poorly, but you know what? We survived. That's just how it works. And I don't expect Tennessee to move on from Ryan Tannehill because when you're switching a quarterback, there has to be a better alternative. And I don't think there's many alternatives better for Tennessee than Ryan Tannehill. You're not going to get an Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to get a Russell Wilson. So you have to live with what you have. But this team has been close. They got to an AFC Championship game a few years ago and lost to Kansas City when they won their Super Bowl. They lost to the Bills last year. They've been a good football team. You get the number 1 seed this year. You avoid the wild card weekend. You get a bye. This one has to sting. You had the defense. You seem to have the coaching for the season, but you come up short. And we'll see how Tennessee reacts to this. But it could be a long offseason of thinking what could have been because, like I just said, nobody saw Cincinnati moving on. But kudos to Joe Burrow, who missed half his rookie season. Jamar Chase is a rookie. Zach Taylor is a young coach who they didn't give a lot of credence to hiring. He's clearly doing a good job. I mean, their offensive line's atrocious. The fact that you made the AFC Championship with this offensive line is credence to your quarterback, who's just been balling out, and it could be the reason that you don't make it any farther. But Cincinnati's there. Ken Anderson would be smiling, watching. He didn't win one in Cincinnati, but he was a great quarterback for them for a long time. And seeing Joe Burrow and this team get back to the promised land, it has to be a damn good day in the Ohio area. That brings us to game 2, second game of Saturday, San Francisco, Green Bay. And I was more bullish on this game. I felt San Francisco was a matchup nightmare for the Green Bay Packers. And I thought San Francisco would be a team that would run the football really effectively, make good defensive plays, get in Rodgers' face. You got to hope that Jimmy Garoppolo, a.k.a. porn star Jimmy, would limit the big mistakes because we know he likes to make them. And you look at it, San Francisco only ran for 106 yards. It wasn't exactly a great day for them. When it comes to running the football, it wasn't spectacular. Deebo Samuel only had 39 yards on the ground. But again, why did San Francisco upset Green Bay at Lambeau? And we'll talk about special teams. But more than that, it's about the defense. The defense of San Francisco came to play. It looked early in the game like the secondary, which is the weakness of this defense, was going to be their undoing. Because on that first drive, they could not cover Davante Adams. He got 4 catches. He was wide open. It didn't matter who they put on him. He was wide open. He made plays. A.J. Dillon eventually ran one in for a score. But what happened? What did we see last week? We saw Fred Warner, their leader in the middle of their defense, really their leader on defense at middle linebacker. He hurt his ankle. Their best pass rusher, who had 15.5 sacks in the regular season, Nick Bosa, the former number 2 overall pick, had a concussion. But both guys were available to play. And not only were they available to play, they were their 2 most important players on defense, is what you need this time of year. So San Francisco's 3-0. Green Bay just had a great drive. It looks like they got all the momentum. But next drive, Mercedes Lewis has the football, catch the ball in the flat. Fred Warner comes out, punches the ball out. Turnover. And so it looks like, okay, San Francisco might survive this. Another 3-0. Garoppolo 0-4 to start the game. He's just a disaster. But they keep getting pressure. They get consistent pressure. They're covering up Davante pretty well. Aaron Rodgers wasn't that accurate on Saturday. Again, this comes down to his playoff performance. But, Green Bay's defense is playing well. Rashawn Gary, first round pick a few years back, has 2 sacks in the game, 2 sacks in the first couple of drives. They're getting to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I said, they can't run the football. So there's no offense. And San Francisco, and this is just Jimmy Garoppolo for you, end the half, they got the football. They go on a 6+ minute drive. Looks great. The run's finally working. O-line bullying people. Trent Williams just running people over, using Deebo Samuel effectively. But then they roll out. Jimmy Garoppolo run down the seam. He sees George Kittle in the end zone, but it's a terrible throw. And Adrian Amos is covering. He doesn't have a big arm. He intercepts it. Could have been a touchdown drive taken away from San Francisco. But this is where we get to special teams, and this is where games are changed. On a 3rd down, Aaron Rodgers makes his best play of the day. On his back foot, throws a wheel route to an uncovered Aaron Jones. And he catches the ball at about midfield, but they run down the field and they tackle him at the 14. Massive tackle, I'll mind you. Some people would give up on that play. Kudos. Emmanuel Mosley did not. He gets there, makes the key tackle. They're able to spike the ball, 75-yard catch and run. But what happens? Block field goal. Green Bay could have went into the locker room up 10-0, which wouldn't be a lot, but still better than, and it's a block field goal, remains 7-0. And it didn't start well for San Francisco in the second half. They get 3 points early. Garoppolo still not completing many passes. They have one drive that they drive all the way down. It's a 4th and 1. They get stuffed. But what do? They have a really good, they get stuffed deep in the opposing team's end zone. And they also have a great punt that pins back Green Bay, and they're stuck inside their own 10. So Green Bay goes on a drive. They don't get anything going, 3-0. So what happens? Out comes Corey Barquez, their punter. He's got the ball. Jordan Willis gets his big hand through, his big paw, blocks the punt. Ball rolls to about the 7-yard line. San Francisco runs it in. tie game. And the hysteria of the game, you're now thinking, okay, San Francisco just tied this game. Crosby hit a 33-yard field goal, but Talua Hafanga brings it home. It's 10-10. There's 4:41 to go. And, my mother made this point to me, and I agree with her thinking it over. The block punt could have been a moot point. The block punt, the offense, the terrible offense all day from Green Bay could have been a moot point. If with 4:41, the ball is in Aaron Rodgers' hands. He's the reigning MVP, likely going to win it again this year. Two-time winner, four MVPs in total. And you think, okay, 4:41, he's at home. It's the number 1 seed playing the 6th seed. Pretty good matchup. This is Aaron Rodgers' time to shine. In every other situation, Tom Brady gets the football, he's going to win that game. It's what's going to happen. He's got all the time in the world. You can wait to kick a field goal or score a touchdown. Doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers, they run the football the first play. Tackle for a loss. 2nd and 11. Then a short little completion, only gains 3 yards. Then on 3rd and 8, he throws a deep ball for Davante Adams. He's in double coverage. The ball is nearly intercepted. So they have to punt it back. But what did we find out? They only wasted 21 seconds of the clock. What did we see in this drive? We saw San Francisco run the football. But we also saw Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy, be way more clutch than Aaron Rodgers. He made 2 third-down passes that were pivotal to them winning. A huge one to Kittle over the middle. Good throw, tough catch. He goes for some yak yards. Debo catches the 3rd down. He dives for the pylon. They get a 1st down. Sorry, dives for the 6th. They get one. Then you're at about the 38-yard line of Green Bay. It's going to be a long field goal for Robbie Gould. The clock's ticking down. Green Bay's used all their timeouts. But on a 3rd and 7, they hand it off to Deebo Samuel, who is the most important player on their offense. He's bruised and battered. He's taken some big hits in this game alongside guys like Trent Williams, Kittle for that matter. This offense is hurting. But he not only gets the 7, he gets 12 yards, gets the ball to inside the 30-yard line of Green Bay to set up Robbie Gould. And Robbie Gould was 19 for 19 in his career in the postseason. Money, clutch. Again, having the kicker. Robbie Gould, the Chicago Bears let Robbie Gould walk. He's made it to Pro Bowl since. The Bears have been searching for a kicker for 4 to 5 years. So as the game expires, snow's coming down at Lambeau. Robbie Gould wins it for San Francisco. Back-to-back road victories. They win in Dallas. They win in Green Bay. 2 of the most historic teams. And again, Jimmy Garoppolo. He is 3-0 in his postseason career when he does not throw a touchdown pass. Jimmy Garoppolo is 5-1 in his postseason career. And you look at the weekend. If you're doing a quarterback power ranking, Jimmy Garoppolo comes in 8 from 99 out of 100 people. If you're looking at playoffs, I'm sure Tom Brady would go 1. Patrick Mahomes 2. Maybe throw Josh Allen 3. Stafford, Burrow. You go through the combination of players. Porn star Jimmy is 8. And he did not have a great game. But he made the plays he had to. Again, it's all about narrative. If Green Bay shows up in the first 3 quarters and does anything offensively, and they just sneak out a win, I'm sure some people, like my good friend Skip Bayless, would criticize Green Bay for being lackluster, for being, only beating San Fran by 3 points, but it wouldn't matter because you won the game. You move on. You get to play a home playoff game to get to a Super Bowl, but you didn't. Jimmy Garoppolo made those big plays. You could say it was the yak yardage of his receivers. Doesn't matter. They converted when they had to. And since Matt LaFleur has taken over, it's true. Green Bay has never, in his 3 seasons, they've never had special teams group that was better than 29th in the NFL. 29th. And they've been a number 1 seed 2 times over the last 3 years, if you can believe it. But this, they had 10 men on the field to end the game. Brutal special teams decision when you have to block it. But this wasn't about special teams. I credit the San Francisco defense a ton because they played their tails off. They guarded Devontae. They made smart decisions. They forced a turnover. This is about Green Bay. And a lot of it is on Aaron Rodgers. You're great in the regular season. He is maybe the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play the position. Maybe not the biggest arm like Elway or Marino, but the ability he has to make plays out of nothing. You don't get to see a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes without first seeing Aaron Rodgers. But it can't be understated. He is 11-10 in his postseason career. And most people would kill for his career. He's won a Super Bowl. Like I say, he's likely to win his 4th MVP. But with all that talent, playing for one of the best franchises in professional sports, you only have 1 championship to show for it. It's disappointing. And this past 2 seasons for Green Bay have been disappointments. They lost the NFC Championship game last year. That's a disappointment. Yes, you lost to Tampa. But you have Aaron Rodgers. You have all the pieces. And now Green Bay is sitting $48.4 million over the salary cap. What's going to happen to this team? It's not going to be the same. It's going to be very tricky for them to navigate. How are they going to do it? They have to get rid of pieces. They're going to have to make decisions. And what does this mean for Aaron Rodgers? Does he retire? Does he go elsewhere? Last offseason, all we heard was Aaron Rodgers is leaving Green Bay. And I didn't believe it for a second because I felt like Adam Schefter was lying to us from the beginning. That report he did it at the draft was an old report. He'd heard it months before. It wasn't breaking news. But I will say this today. I would be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is back in Green Bay next season. And friend of the podcast, great contributor, Matt Wright gave me a call Saturday night, and we had this conversation. And Denver has made sense to me for a long time. I know his fiance or future wife, Shailene Woodley, is from the Denver area. That would make a whole lot of sense. Pittsburgh would make sense to me because I think he has a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin, and that would go against Pittsburgh's mantra of acquiring a veteran talent. But I do think there's a level of respect there between 2 all-time greats. But then Matt brought something up to me. And he said, well, what about the Las Vegas Raiders? And I said, yeah, I never really thought about the Raiders. But there's a few factors that would make sense here. Number 1, the Las Vegas Raiders could trade a starting quarterback, a quarterback that got a team to the playoffs this year, to Green Bay in return. Green Bay drafted Jordan Love, but if you've seen him play this year, nobody believes he's ready to take over the starting role for Green Bay. So Derek Carr could be swapped to Green Bay, and Green Bay in that division, Derek Carr is the best quarterback. He's better than Jared Goff in Detroit. At this point, he's better than Justin Fields, and he's better than Kirk D. Cousins. So Green Bay, in my humble opinion, would still be the favorite to win the NFC North. So there's that. But for Aaron Rodgers, you go to Vegas. I believe if they could acquire an Aaron Rodgers, they need to make a splashy hire. I don't think Rick Bisaccia is going to be that entertaining, that something that Aaron Rodgers is going to love. I think a Jim Harbaugh would make a lot of sense as a head coach there. I think that could work. But not only that, Las Vegas Raiders host the Super Bowl next year. And their owner is Mark Davis. And the Davis family is about making splashes. You know, they went out and got Antonio Brown. Turned out to be a dud. But when you're hosting the Super Bowl, and we're going to talk, we saw Tampa win it at home last year, the first team to do it. The Rams are going to have the opportunity to do it again this season. Vegas teams are going to get greedy. And you're going to say, well, these guys did it. Why can't we? And despite the playoff failure, despite the lackluster performances in pretty much every playoff game he plays in, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. It's just a fact. And could you make some big additions? Hunter Renfrow, I think, is a guy that they would love. Not only that, Devontae Adams is a free agent. He could come with Aaron Rodgers to Las Vegas. And boy, would this be fun for the NFL. In one division, you have Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer. You have Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback in football right now. And then you have Justin Herbert, the boy wonder, the next big thing potentially, him and Joe Burrow. But those three quarterbacks, it would leave Denver in a pit of despair. But a loaded division at the quarter, teams are going to be killing to have them on their stations, to have them on. But for the AFC to have those three guys, boy, would that be fun. But to me, Vegas is going to be very aggressive. They're hosting the Super Bowl. And, you know, Ryder got me thinking, maybe it's not Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they get a Russell Wilson. His wife is an actress, singer, pretty close to LA. It's a quick little flight. Could they lure somebody else? It wouldn't take a whole lot of convincing, I think, just speaking from me personally, to live in Vegas, to get out of the hellhole that are winters in Wisconsin or the rain in Seattle. Vegas seems pretty posh, seems pretty nice. We'll have to see where this goes. But if it does happen, credit to Matt Wright, because he got me thinking about this. And it makes too much sense for it not to happen. But although that is a story today, I'll get back to it. The bigger story is he's a playoff failure. He is a all-pro regular season quarterback. He's a seventh round playoff quarterback. He won his Super Bowl a decade ago, over a decade ago, 2010. He has not had crap rosters. He hasn't gotten back to a Super Bowl, guys. Cam Newton got back to a Super Bowl. They had a lesser roster. Atlanta beat him. Jimmy Garoppolo has beaten Aaron Rodgers twice. He's 2-0 against Rodgers in the playoffs. San Francisco is 4-0 against Aaron Rodgers. And some irony there because they chose not to draft him and they took Alex Smith in 2004. But it's not a big stunner for me because I thought this was going to be a difficult matchup for Green Bay. And San Francisco is going to be a difficult matchup for anyone because it's less about the quarterback play and about the team. Kyle Shanahan is an excellent coach. He knows how to devise a game plan, and they make one mistake a game because Garoppolo will do it, but they have playmakers that just find ways to do it. That's it. And Matt LaFleur, who might win Coach of the Year as well, him and Vrabel, I think they're neck and neck. But we'll have to look and say, we've gotten 2 number 1 seeds. I put our team in a great position to win a Super Bowl in back-to-back years, and yet we haven't. Maybe Matt LaFleur's ready for a change of scenery. You know, I'm talking, maybe he's just ready for a change of scenery at the quarterback position because you're not winning. if you're not getting your team over the hump, maybe somebody else is. Maybe Derek Carr could. Food for thought. Game number 3, Bucks Rams. And this game for me, my prediction was, well, I picked the Bucks before the season to repeat. So I'd be a hypocrite if I went against it. But I did say if the Bucks were going to lose, it was going to be this weekend. And I came into the game saying that because, well, Tristan Wirfs didn't play, the all-pro right tackle. And I said, well, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. Those 3 are human missile machines. Also, Tampa has a beat-up receiving core. Their second best option is Gronk, and Gronk's not what he used to be. But you have Jalen Ramsey against Mike Evans. You don't have Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown is on a beach somewhere. So you're very limited. Leonard Fournette is back, but he's not 100%. So there's a lot of holes here. And early in the game, you saw why the LA defense came to play. They got great coverage. Darius Williams started off against Gronk. Nick Scott, he's a special teamer. He played his heart out yesterday. Comes up with an interception, 2 pass breakups. He's a quiet start of the game. But you look through the entire first half. What was the main reason Tom Brady was having problems? Oh, yeah, pressure. They got in his face. Aaron Donald was spectacular. He always is. I think he's the best player in football. I think he continues to prove it. But you acquire certain guys to show up in the playoffs. If they're lackluster in the regular season, you can live with that. I think of a guy like Corey Perry. Corey Perry did very little in his regular season career in Montreal and in Dallas at the tail end of that stint. But what did he do when the playoffs started? He showed up and he showed out. He got points. He was contributing. He was a key cog in the machine. Well, Von Miller in 2015 won Super Bowl MVP. He nearly decapitated Cam Newton, and he could not be blocked. And the week prior to the Super Bowl, he went up against Tom Brady in the Nfc Championship Game and sacked him 3 times and got 8 pressures. Well, on the edge yesterday, playing Josh Wells, didn't matter if it was Donovan Smith, Von Miller was a wrecking machine. If this stat is correct, which I think it is, I found it on Sports Logic, he had 7 pressures yesterday. Aaron Donald had a sack and a half. These guys were getting to Brady. They were in his face. He was getting pissed off. And early in the game, Tampa was throwing hissy fits. Brady takes an unsportsmanlike. And Ndamukong Suh, just going so Ndamukong Suh because he's a dirty player, but he's pointing at the refs. He's trying to kick people. He gets one. And then Levante David took his helmet off on the field. That's another 3 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalties, all warranted in my opinion, because Brady, you didn't get the call. Von Miller jumped. Okay, calm down. But the first half, and it was a Stafford show. He was hot. Found Cooper Kupp for a 75-yard touchdown, deep shot. OBJ is contributing. Higbee. But it's 20-3. Tampa's has nothing going. They have no momentum. They have nothing. Like I said, 20-3. They missed a field goal. They only had a Ryan Suckup field goal the whole half. 2 touchdown passes from Stafford. But LA gets the ball back after Brady's intercepted. And you're like, okay, well, they got it. They can get points here. They get the ball at the Tampa 30. They have the ball here at the 30, and they get the ball to start the second half. This game, they could put this game away. This game is curtains. But they're driving the ball. Cam Akers gets tackled. His helmet almost hits the ground, but it doesn't. Ball comes out, fumble. Tampa takes over at their own 1. They kneel. That's the end of the half. Start the second half. LA, like I just mentioned, they get the ball. So, okay, this is another kill shot opportunity for LA. You're letting this team back in the game. No scoring drive. But Tampa, they don't get anything going either. Tom Brady's still frustrated as hell. He's got nothing going. He's frustrated beyond. He's forcing things. He has an interception in the game, but nothing going for Tampa Bay. So eventually, LA goes down the field. Stafford, quarterback sneak touchdown, 27-3. But so you're like, okay, 27-3. Tampa's got nothing going in. They have to punt the ball back. So you're like, okay, this game's over. But then Cooper Kupp catch the ball. Jamel Dean forces a fumble. They recover it. On the ball's on the LA 23. What happens? Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, big catches, and they get a touchdown. So 27-10. LA 3-0. No yards gained, 8-second drive. So okay, this is problematic. But then Von Miller, strip sack of Tom Brady, and he recovers it. I mentioned he's having a game. This is all in quick sequence. The next play, LA has the football now because of the aforementioned strip sack. The snapper, Stafford, not on the same page. The ball, this is deep in Tampa's territory. It bounces all the way back to midfield. Jason Pierre-Paul gets on the football. Tampa football. Then they go on a drive. They get down the field. And still the pressure is getting to Brady. He's frustrated. And on a fourth down, he throws it to Mike Evans. It's incomplete, but Eric Weddle throws a late hit. And it's a 15-yarder, but because the ball was dead, it only counts against LA. It's going to back them up more. It's not a first down. And so basically, Evans doesn't catch the ball. It's a drop, and Weddle nails him, and he gets him pretty close to the head. To me, out of all the rules yesterday, and we'll talk about overtime in the last game, but this was the dumbest rule. This is the stupid rule. This should have been a 15-yard and a first down for Tampa. I don't care if the play's dead. He threw a late hit, and it didn't penalize Tampa. It didn't penalize LA whatsoever. Sorry, they don't. Okay, they get pushed back some. Okay, fine, but it didn't hurt them, and that's my problem with it. It should hurt the team more because you threw a cheap hit, and it didn't. So that's a big mistake of the game because I truly think they got hosed on that play. I think Tampa should have got a first down. That would have led to a touchdown. But nevertheless, that rule has to be changed, but it wasn't going to be yesterday. LA has the ball. They run it 4 minutes. Matt Gay misses a 47-yard field goal, 6:30 to go. But what does Tampa do? Turnover on downs. Like, okay, well, they're just not going to take over. LA takes over on their own 31. Brady, deep shot to Mike Evans, 55 yards, touchdown, 27-20. Jalen Ramsey had been playing a great game, but he's in single coverage, a much bigger Mike Evans. He comes down with the football. It's a one-score game. Then LA gets the ball. And Ndamukong Suh, who had made a stupid play earlier, but he's a veteran. He knows when to make a big play. Comes up. Akers has the football, punches the ball out. Fumble. Picked up by Tampa. Another turnover. 4 fumbles in the game. Well, actually 5 fumbles in the game by LA. 4 of them recovered by Tampa Bay. This results in Leonard Fournette scoring a touchdown and leaving 58 seconds left on the clock for Matthew Stafford to be a legend. Because Tampa's defense might not have played well early, neither did their offense. But their defense had gotten them back in this game. Tom Brady didn't play well yesterday. Just want to point that out. He didn't, because he was, yes, was the pass pressure really good? No doubt about it. But he doesn't get back in this game unless the defense wills him, because he went 30 for 54 yesterday. And that's a 55% completion percentage. That's garbage. Also, he had 7 passes, 1 hop into the ground. That's not Tom Brady-like. But the defense forced 4 fumbles. Cam Akers had 2. Cooper Kupp, the bad snap. 4 turnovers by LA, which led to points for. So you're tied at 27, and you're thinking, my thought was, well, Stafford, I've heard forever how good of a quarterback you're. You're Detroit. If he only gets out of Detroit, he can win. Well, you have the opportunity to prove people that, you know what, that sentiment is dead on. Because if you don't score here and you lose the toss going into overtime, the game is over. Because Tom Brady is not losing in overtime, period. But what happens? First play, incomplete. But then they get a pass. He finds Higbee. And then they get quick to the line. And Stafford, it's an up and go. Cooper Kupp just bursts out the scene. Antoine Winfield Jr., the safety, supposed to be covering. He gets lost a bit in coverage. He doesn't have corner help over the top. Cooper Kupp with a massive play. Stafford, beautiful throw right down the chimney to Cooper Kupp for 70 yards. Gets the ball down inside the 20. Stafford and the Rams do what the Cowboys weren't competent enough to do. They get down there, hand the ball to the referee. They spike the football at 3 seconds remaining. Neither team with a timeout. And Matt Gay comes out, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, and kicks the game-winning walk-off field goal, the 3rd of the weekend. I'm hard on Stafford. But yesterday was his moment. It was his game. It was him showing the world that I am that quarterback. Because he had no turnovers yesterday. He didn't throw any interceptions. He had turnover problems in the regular season, big ones. But yesterday, his teammates tried to lose the game for him. Cam Akers, 2 fumbles. Cooper Kupp, 2 fumbles. But I mentioned coaching. And Stafford, not many people can make that. That was a bullet of a throw. Cooper Kupp, he goes for 9 for $183 yesterday and a touchdown. Amazing day, despite the fumble. He made up for it in the big moment. But I also have to look at coaching here. Odell Beckham Jr. is a very good receiver. He's fit in extremely well in LA. I'm happy for him. But who won the Triple Crown this year in the NFL for receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and catches? Oh yeah, that would be Cooper Kupp. He's likely going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I don't know, but maybe let's not single cover Cooper Kupp. Maybe let's not just let him, a safety, play him one-on-one. Maybe Carlton Davis, maybe get over and help him. Could you? That would be nice if that happened. I look at Todd Bowles and this defense. Situational awareness. You have to know who you're going to cover. You have to know who's likely Stafford going to throw the ball. It's going to be Cooper Kupp. It's going to be, because he's the best receiver this year in the NFL. I think Davante Adams is better, but this season, Cooper Kupp was that man. Todd Bowles, his defense, and the Bucs as a whole, you missed a glaring problem here. Cover the best receiver in the big moment, and you did not. But again, you have to realize I give most of the credit to this game. I give Stafford a ton of flowers, like I just said. But LA's defense, yes, they gave up 27 points, but 4 turnovers by LA and a lot of bad field position. But for nearly 3 quarters, they made Tom Brady look as bad as he's ever been. He had 3 points with 2:40 left in the third quarter. And I'm sure Twitter was trending with TB12. This is what Tom Brady does. But that wasn't the game yesterday. Tampa's defense gave them a chance because in the fourth quarter, Tom Brady had 2 drives that were 3-and-outs and another one that was a turnover on downs. That won't be talked about today, but that happened. And I'm not putting down Tom Brady, but you give credit where credit is due. Did he make big plays when he had to? Absolutely. But Leonard Fournette had 2 rushing touchdowns. The defense forced 4 turnovers. 3 of them coming in the second half. Does Tom Brady have an elite fourth quarter without those turnovers? I just proved you he didn't because he had 3 drives that resulted in 0 points. 3 of his 4 touchdown drives started inside the LA 30. Short fields. And this is a completely different conversation from Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady is 35-11 in his postseason career. He is, by most accounts, the greatest quarterback ever, if not right there with Joe Montana. And, there's been reports all weekend that, will this be the last game for Tom Brady? He's still undecided. What's he going to do? I think he's coming back. I'm sure Giselle would love for him to retire, but I can't see him going out this way. I think he could have won the MVP at age 44. He'll be 45 at the start of next season. He's still playing at an elite level. You don't get to hit the quarterback like you once did, so the injuries aren't going to be there. I think he's going to keep playing because he can still play at a very, very high level. And my big thing is, well, does it have to be in Tampa? Because this team's getting older. Chris Godwin's a free agent. Does he come back? Gronk, does he play another year? I'd be surprised. I think Gronk is done. That offensive line is still very good, but, left tackle position, Donovan Smith did not have a good day. Obviously, you love Tristan Wirfs. You love Kappa and Ryan Jensen. Leonard Fournette, does he come back? He was on a 1-year deal. JPP, I believe, is a free agent, and Ndamukong Suh is a free agent. So a lot of the pieces that won you a Super Bowl could be departing. You're not going to bring back the same band if you did not win the Super Bowl. So the weapons, like I just said, are you going to improve them? Because Brate and OJ Howard don't have a great wavelength with Tom Brady at the tight end position. I love Mike Evans. Tom Brady does as well. He's an elite receiver. Who's going to be number 2 to him? Could Brady get Devontae Adams somewhere? But if I'm Brady, I'm looking because you're 45. It's not about loyalty anymore. It's about winning. Where's my best chance to win? And maybe Tampa is in that spot. I think there's a 95% chance he plays next year. But I think there's a less than 75% chance that he does it in Tampa. Because does he believe this roster can win? He left New England because he thought, I can't win with this team. Maybe he's going to get that same sentiment in Tampa Bay. I'm sure his family loves it. But what if he went to Miami? Got a great roster. They're just missing that one piece. That would be quarterback. Played Belichick twice. The Bills are great. Sure, Miami beat New England twice last season. The Jets are still the Jets. Something to think about. And the AFC is tougher for sure. You got Mahomes, Herbert, potentially Aaron Rodgers, but I think there's opportunities in this for Brady to look elsewhere and say, Where do I have my best opportunity to win? But San Francisco moves on to the NFC Championship game. And I said this from the beginning. They're going to be San Francisco and the Rams move on. They're going to be playing for the third time this season, San Francisco winning the first two games. I think the Rams would have preferred to get Green Bay. And that might make no sense, but I think that because San Francisco is just a tricky team. They play well defensively. They just make smart. They have great coaching. Their quarterback is still so lackluster, but they give teams the fits. And Garoppolo seems to make the plays when he has to. You know, LA versus San Francisco 3. This past weekend, we saw a lot of rematches. LA beat Tampa for the second time this season. San Francisco lost to Green Bay in week 3 or week 4. They won. Buffalo beat Kansas City in week 5. Kansas City rebounded and beat them. So you do get you get a mix of both, but we'll see in the third meeting if Stafford and the Rams. Stafford had his moment, a clutch moment. But if Stafford can lead the Rams to a Super Bowl, he will be in the Hall of Fame. He's got the numbers. He's going to have the passing yards. But if he wins a Super Bowl this year, he could retire and he will be in the Hall of Fame based on that one achievement. I truly believe that. And we'll see if he can get it done down the stretch. It'll be San Francisco, LA, Sunday, 7:30. We still have one more game to talk about. And this last game was maybe the craziest game I've ever watched. Maybe the greatest performance from two quarterbacks I've ever had the privilege of watching. It was chaotic. It was something like you've never seen before. It was a show of shows between two quarterbacks that would not be denied. For the day, their combined statistics, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were 60 out of 81, which is 74% completion percentage, 707 yards passing, 7 passing touchdowns, 137 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown by Patrick Mahomes. That's the kind of day. That's what these two guys put on tape yesterday. It was two behemoths of the sport going toe to toe. And what was so surprising is both teams ran the ball. Kansas City ran the ball 30 times yesterday, which is a playoff high for Andy Reid. They used Mecole Hardman on an end around. He scored. Patrick Mahomes led the team in rushing with 69 yards and a touchdown, including a 34-yard run early in the game. No surprise, Josh Allen led the Bills in rushing. He had 68 yards on 11 carries. We look at the game, and sometimes it just comes down to the fourth quarter and who has the ball last, and that's exactly what this was. You know, third quarter, Chiefs are up 10. End of the third quarter, $1:56 left. And sometimes it's just one pass, right? You just need one big play to kind of get the momentum back in your favor. And one play, Josh Allen down the field, strike to Gabe Davis for a touchdown. Juan Thornhill could not cover him. It's Gabe Davis's second touchdown of the game. It's a 3-point game. Next drive at Ed Oliver, big sack. And they have to hold the Chiefs to a field goal. So you get to a $1:54 left. And Chiefs are up 6. $1:54, 2-minute warning. Gabe Davis, strike, 4th and 13. Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, his third touchdown of the game. Allen was scrambling for first downs the entire drive, just doing miraculous things. Bills are up 1. Gabe Davis his third touchdown of the game. Then they go for 2, and Allen made this it's just a crazy scrambling, throwing on his back foot back to the end zone. Stephon Diggs, 2-point conversion. Bills are up 29-26. So then Mahomes gets the ball, and 52 seconds later, 52-second drive, they're moving the ball, but they're near midfield, just getting close to midfield, and then Mahomes hits Tyreek Hill in a slant. And Tyreek Hill still has those legs. He's such a burner. He gets past Levi Wallace, who's the corner. Matt Milano, linebackers, they can't cover him. They're trying to get him, but he runs to the opposite side of the field. He gives Milano the peace sign, touchdown. 64 yards, 1 minute and 2 to go. You're thinking, Mahomes has done it again. And they kick an extra point. So now they're up. So 1 minute and 2, Bills get the ball back. It's 33-29 Kansas City. But Buffalo still has their 3 timeouts, as do Kansas City. But Buffalo goes down the field. Their big play. Gabe Davis makes a big catch. He finds Dawson Knox over the middle. Stephon Diggs makes a catch. And with 13 seconds, Gabe Davis is left wide open. Coverage is blown. He's in the end zone wide open. His 4th touchdown of the game, which is a new playoff record, beating a little guy named Jerry Rice's. He also has 8 catches for 200 yards in the game. Spectacular. 13 seconds left on the clock. You're thinking this game is over, which I did. I'm saying there's no way Buffalo can win. 13 seconds. Buffalo kicks it back. It's a touchback. First play. Soft coverage. Finds Tyreek Hill. He gets some yards. They get down. Timeout. Then a quick strike. But this is the perplexing thing. Buffalo is playing a prevent defense. Kansas City still has timeouts. They don't. Mahomes can't throw the ball 90 yards. It's going to have to be something to get them in the field goal range. They don't have enough time. So they throw it to Kelsey, but they're playing such soft coverage. Kelsey is able to get 20-plus yards on the play, and it's a 49-yard field goal to tie. 2 plays gets them into field goal range, gets them over 60 yards of offense. Harrison Butker, who is the most accurate kicker in the NFL during the regular season, he missed a field goal and an extra point in the game, but when he had to, he was clutch. He came out, knocks it through. Game is going to overtime. So through all of this, we started at the minute 54 mark at 29-26, if you can believe it. And it ends, it goes to overtime 36-36. Craziness. In that last span, you had 24 points in 1 minute and 54. Gabe Davis had 2 touchdowns. But Mahomes somehow gets the team down there. Butker kicks the field goal. And Leslie Frazier, who's a good defensive coordinator, who had a really good defense. Again, you look at the moment. Why are you playing such soft coverage? Why are you playing prevent defense? Rush 3, keep guys, just keep them in front of you. He can't throw it that deep down the field. Throw a couple guys back there, but you need to have. Don't play soft coverage. Play press man. Don't let them. They're going to throw it in front of you. So give them 10 yards. That's it. Then they have to take a timeout. They have to throw a Hail Mary. You likely win the game. But Kansas City wins the toss. And it's a drive that's beautiful. Mecole Hardman catches his 1 pass of the entire, I think he might have, maybe a 2 catch if it was the biggest one he had. Let's see here. No, he had one catch. I was right. 26-yard reception, gets him down inside the 10. Beautiful play. Jerick McKinnon, he found on the drive. He had 54 yards. He's had over 50 yards receiving back-to-back weeks. He's a spark plug for them. But then, of course, who do you go to? End of the game, back to the end zone, Travis Kelce. He had 8 for 96 on the game. The game is over. The Chiefs win against Buffalo for the second straight year. Mahomes is in his 4th straight AFC Championship game to begin his career, which is just astounding. But I feel terrible for Josh Allen because the guy played a hell of a football game. Like I just said, 27 for 37, 329, 4 touchdowns, all to Gabe Davis. But he couldn't have played better. In 2 playoff games, he had 9 touchdown passes. Mahomes has 8. These 2 guys have played 2 of the best of the 2-game stretch. I don't think we've seen 2 guys play better. It's been a phenomenal display. And the Bills are a very good team. And I'll be honest, I don't think Kansas City's better than the Bills. They didn't have Tyrann Mathieu the whole game, their best defensive player. And what I heard after the game is, well, we got to change the overtime rules. I don't have any problem with the overtime rule. I normally hate every rule. If I could get out of the shootout tomorrow, I'd shoot it with a gun myself. I don't mind the NFL overtime because the defense, you get paid too. You could have made a stop. Matt Milano, make a play. Levi Wallace, make a play. Ed Oliver, sack the quarterback. I get you're tired, but why? You shouldn't like in hockey, in overtime in the playoffs, if you score a goal, it's not like, okay, well, we have 10 minutes to go score another one. No, the game's over, period. Baseball, both teams get to hit, but it's a different sport. It's very different. It's vastly different. Scoring touchdowns is what it's all about. I don't think they should change the overtime rule. And the only reason people are upset about it is because the game was fantastic, which it was. But if it was a playoff game where it's 9-9, nobody gives a shit. Nobody. And I get it, Bills fans. You might want to touch the ball, but get a stop. How about play some good coverage with 13 seconds left? How about blame that? Not, oh, the overtime rules cost us the game. No. Your team cost you the game. Make some plays. This had nothing. The overtime rules, I don't believe are a problem. I really, really don't. It's not something that needs to be changed because that game was fantastic. It was not ruined. It was not ruined, Stewie Griffin, because of the OT rules. That was an instant classic. It was one of the best games I've ever watched. But the overtime rules don't need to be changed. Buffalo Bills fans, grow up. Win a game. Be mad at your coaching staff, not the overtime rules. Don't be the Dallas Cowboys where all week you're going to complain about, oh, the refs screwed us. We couldn't. No. Make a play in the moment. 13 seconds? How many quarterbacks get the ball down in 13 seconds? Mahomes shouldn't have been able to, but you allowed him to. Your fault. Karma that they won the toss because you allowed that to happen. Plus, it's karma on Josh Allen because he's in the coin toss. He said tails. You never say tails. Heads always. Jughead. Heads. You never say tails. Never. It's bad luck. I'm not even superstitious. I know that. Never tails. Never. Ugh, Buffalo Bills fans. I get it. Your team has been sucked forever. And you finally got to, but come on. Can do better than that. We can do better than that, right? I think. But it was a fantastic weekend. I think it was just a fantastic weekend. It truly was. And you get Kansas City back in AFC Championship game. They'll play Cincinnati. Two great quarterbacks going at it. Cincinnati beat Kansas City in week 16. That was in Cincinnati, but you get a rematch and you get, a third meeting between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And I'll talk about the matchups more throughout the week. Ben Murray is going to join me later in the week. We'll talk about who we see winning this week, the big matchups, break down some of this. We'll talk about the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady rumors of it all. We might see some head coaches get hired this week as well. So that'll be some news to get into, but it was perfection this week. You couldn't have asked for better. You could have asked for anything better this weekend. It was phenomenal. It was fantastic. And like I said, the football, you get UFC pay-per-view. Canadian men's tennis is having quite a week. You got Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime into the fourth round. Shapovalov will take on Rafael Nadal tonight. You have upsets galore in the women's draw. 2 unranked females are in the quarterfinal after Sabalenka, the number 2 seed, and Simona Halep, 2-time Grand Slam winner, were upset last night. So that's great. Edmonton got to win. Draisaitl is huge in that game. Lots happening. We'll have lots to get into this week, but I'm still marveling at the weekend that the football we just saw this weekend. It was something to behold. It was spectacular, and I'm truly grateful that I got to witness it and, be a part of it in my own little way. But lots happening this week. Couple podcasts coming tomorrow. We'll break down, obviously, the tennis this evening. We'll talk hockey. Seamus and me will be back tomorrow. So episodes 3 and 4 of our breakdown of Sneaky Pete, the new show we're covering on Amazon. I know Ozark is out. I'm a huge fan of that show. I am holding out of watching Ozark because not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, it's the bye week before the Super Bowl, which means it's the Pro Bowl, which I refuse to watch. And then there's the NHL All-Star Game, which is the biggest eyesore on planet Earth. I mean, cold sores make that thing look sexy. But that's a weekend I need something great to watch. 7 episodes of Ozark. I'm going to try to not watch any before then. It's hard for me because I love that show. Bateman, Julia Garner, they do a fantastic job. So I can't wait to dive into that show. But lots coming this week. Some great sports. We'll tee up the NFL games throughout the week as we go here. But thank you guys all for tuning in today. As always, appreciate the support. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. But until then, we'll talk tomorrow and take care.